If you're lucky, you get about 50 seasons to garden in your lifetime. 50 chances to get it right. So if you're not using this season to make the next one better, you might become compost before you finally build that dream garden. The pressure is on. Every year brings new trends, new must-have plants, and 1,000 different opinions on the right way to do things. It's easy to feel like you're falling behind before you've even picked up a trowel. Imagine having a garden in 2026 that's not just gorgeous and productive, but also perfectly in sync with the smartest, most sustainable ideas out there. But for a lot of us, keeping up with it all, especially with limited space or experience, feels totally overwhelming. Well, today, we're going to fix that. We're breaking down the 7 most important pillars for gardening in 2026 into a simple, step-by-step guide. This is your roadmap to creating the garden you've always wanted. We'll cover everything from the big philosophical shifts in how we think about gardens, right down to the specific plants you should be looking for. We're talking about creating gardens that are not just beautiful, but are resilient, productive, and frankly, way easier to care for than ever before. So grab a notepad because we're about to plan your best garden yet.
Pillar 1. The philosophy of smart gardening. The biggest shift happening in 2026 isn't a trendy flower or a color palette. It's a complete change in mindset. The old way was a constant battle, fighting weeds, fighting pests, fighting your own soil, and forcing plants to grow where they really didn't want to be. The new philosophy is simple. Garden smarter, not harder. It's about working with nature, so your garden practically takes care of itself. This doesn't mean letting your yard become a wild, unkempt mess. It's about creating a space that is lush, intentional, and almost entirely self-sufficient. The problem so many of us face is garden burnout. We spend our weekends pulling weeds and our paychecks on fertilizers, only to feel like we're fighting a losing battle. The solution is to design a garden that has its own built-in support system. This means picking plants that are a natural fit for your specific conditions. Instead of fighting that shady spot, that heavy clay soil, or that dry sandy patch, you lean into it. You choose plants that evolved to thrive in those exact conditions. This one change has a huge ripple effect. When you put the right plant in the right place, it's healthier, it's less stressed, which makes it naturally more resistant to pests and diseases. That means you can dramatically cut back or even stop using chemical pesticides and fertilizers. You'll spend less time troubleshooting and more time actually enjoying the space you've created. This is the foundation for everything else we're going to talk about. It's a shift from being a garden laborer to a garden curator. You're not just a worker, you're the architect of your own tiny, thriving ecosystem.
Pillar 2. Native plants and climate resilience. If gardening smarter is the philosophy, then native plants are your most powerful tool. For years, the big thing was to collect exotic plants from all over the world. But in 2026, the focus is on celebrating the plants that actually belong where you live. Native plants are species that have spent thousands of years adapting to your specific region, your climate, your soil, and your local wildlife. Let's face it, our weather is getting more and more unpredictable. Hotter summers, freak storms, and wild temperature swings are the new normal. A lot of traditional garden plants, like thirsty lawns or delicate flowers, just can't handle these extremes without a ton of help. The solution is to build a climate-resilient garden, and native plants are the backbone of that strategy. Because they're already adapted to your local conditions, they can handle heat waves, dry spells, and heavy rain. They grow deeper roots that find water more effectively and also improve your soil structure and prevent erosion. Once they're established, native plants need far less water than most traditional landscaping choices, which is a game changer for your water bill and for the planet.
And because they're part of the local food web, they provide essential food and shelter for pollinators like bees, butterflies, and hummingbirds. A garden full of native plants is a garden that's literally buzzing with life. You don't have to rip everything out overnight. Start small. Replace a sad patch of lawn with native wildflowers. Tuck a few native perennials into an existing flower bed. Depending on your region, popular choices include things like butterfly milkweed, Asclepias tuberosa, to support monarchs, or tough-as-nails beauties like coneflowers, echinacea, yarrow, achille, and switchgrass, panicum virgicum. These aren't just ecologically smart, they're gorgeous plants that add color and texture while asking for very little in return. Pillar 3. The end of the lawn as we know it. For decades, the perfect green lawn was the ultimate symbol of success. In 2026, it's starting to look like a relic. The problem is simple. A traditional lawn is a resource monster. It needs weekly mowing, it's incredibly thirsty, and it depends on a constant diet of chemical fertilizers and pesticides to look so unnaturally green. People are finally asking, is all this work and all these chemicals really worth it? The solution is a trend called rewilding, which is all about swapping that high-maintenance turf for something more beautiful, functional, and way more interesting. And no, this doesn't mean your yard has to look messy. These are thoughtful, intentional, and stunning designs. Think about replacing sections of grass with stone pathways, creating meadow-like beds filled with grasses and wildflowers, or planting tough ground covers that can handle a bit of foot traffic. A fragrant flowering ground cover like creeping thyme, for example, can create a walkable carpet that suppresses weeds. Native sedums are another fantastic drought-tolerant option that will crowd out unwanted plants. The goal is to create layers. Instead of a flat, boring monoculture of grass, you get a rich tapestry of different textures and heights. This is a core of low-maintenance gardening. What's interesting is that these rewilded gardens often have more plants than a traditional yard, not fewer. By layering plants carefully, you create a dense, living mulch that shades the soil, holds in moisture, and stops weeds from ever getting started. You're creating a little ecosystem where the plants take care of each other. You can even mow paths through a larger meadow to keep a tidy look while still getting all the benefits. The result? A yard you can actually spend your weekend enjoying, not toiling in. We've covered a lot of ground already. Smart gardening, native plants, and rethinking the classic lawn. So what's the one thing you're most excited to try in your garden this year? Let us know down in the comments. I read every single one and would love to hear what you're planning. Pillar 4. Foodscaping and the edible landscape. For the longest time, vegetable gardening was treated like a chore. You'd have your pretty ornamental plants out front and a sad little veggie patch hidden in the back corner, demanding endless weeding and attention. The problem is, that approach makes growing your own food feel like work, and it completely misses the opportunity to mix beauty with function. The 2026 solution is foodscaping, or as some call it, edimental planting, a mashup of edible and ornamental. The big idea is to weave edible plants right into your flower beds, borders, and even your front yard. Instead of being hidden away, vegetables, fruits, and herbs become part of the design, creating those lush, cottage-style textures that feel both wild and intentional. Just imagine the visual pop of rainbow Swiss chard planted next to flowering perennials. Or think about using fragrant rosemary as a tough, drought-tolerant border along a path. Fruit trees and shrubs are a huge part of this. Instead of being stuck in an orchard, plants like citrus, figs, and berry bushes are being used as focal points. A dwarf apple tree gives you gorgeous blossoms in the spring, delicious fruit in the fall, and beautiful structure all year. Once it's established, a fruit tree is the ultimate example of low-maintenance, productive beauty. This trend is incredibly flexible. even if you don't have a yard. For apartment dwellers, the same principle applies indoors or on a balcony. Countertop growing systems can give you a year-round supply of fresh herbs and salad greens. On a patio, a container-grown blueberry bush can be both a beautiful plant and a source of fresh fruit. The goal is to grow what you love to eat, and to do it in a way that adds beauty and flavor to every corner of your life.
Pillar 5. Maximalism and personalized spaces. For years, design was dominated by minimalism. Clean lines, sparse plantings, a less is more vibe. And while that can be beautiful, the pendulum in 2026 is swinging hard in the other direction. The trouble with minimalism is that it can sometimes feel a bit sterile or impersonal. A garden should feel alive, immersive, and uniquely yours. Enter the rise of maximalist garden design. This is a more is more approach that celebrates abundance, color, texture, and personality. It's about creating spaces that feel full, rich, and totally engaging. This isn't about chaotic clutter, it's about a curated, intentional lushness. Think dense, layered plantings, where flowers, foliage, and edibles all mingle together. It's about filling every bit of space to create a garden you can get lost in. A key part of maximalism is embracing bold, rich colors. While soft pastels are always lovely, 2026 is seeing a surge in moody, jewel-toned palettes, dusky pinks, deep purples, rich oranges, and even plants with bronze or dark purple foliage to add drama. Butter yellow is also having a moment because it just pops so beautifully against everything else. This trend is also about creating a space that reflects who you are. Your garden shouldn't look like it came out of a generic catalog. It should tell your story. This means creating little nooks that invite you in, a small, secluded seating area surrounded by fragrant jasmine for your morning coffee, or a dedicated cutting garden packed with dahlias and zinnias so you can bring that beauty indoors. Maximalism gives you permission to plant what you love and to plant a lot of it. It's about creating a space that feels personal, immersive, and overflowing with life. It's a garden you don't just look at, but a place you truly live in.
Pillar 6. Small space and vertical genius. One of the biggest hurdles for modern gardeners is simply a lack of space. Yards are shrinking, and more of us live in apartments or condos with just a small balcony. The problem is the old myth that you need a huge plot of land to have a real garden. The 2026 solution is to completely redefine what a garden can be by mastering small space and vertical techniques. The rule is simple. When you can't build out, you build up. Vertical gardening is the single best way to multiply your growing area. You can use trellises for climbing cucumbers and pole beans, or vining flowers to create a living wall of green. Upcycled pallets can become wall-mounted planters for herbs. Old ladders can be turned into tiered shelving for pots, creating layers of lushness. Even a hanging shoe organizer can be a surprisingly effective pocket herb garden. Container gardening is also getting way more sophisticated. We're moving beyond a few terracotta pots. Gardeners are now mixing container sizes, colors, and textures to create arrangements that feel like a complete miniature garden. Techniques like square-foot gardening, where you divide a raised bed into a grid, are perfect for getting huge harvests from a tiny, organized patch. If you're just starting, the easiest way in is with a few well-chosen containers on a sunny patio. Start with easy crops that do well in pots. Determinate or bush-type tomatoes are perfect for containers. Leafy greens like lettuce and spinach have shallow roots and thrive in window boxes. And herbs are the ultimate small space crop, giving you fresh flavor right outside your kitchen door.
With these techniques, you can turn any sunny corner into a vibrant and productive oasis.
Pillar 7. The Beginner's Action Plan. Okay, all of these ideas sound great, but if you're a beginner, it can still feel like a lot. The biggest trap for new gardeners is not knowing where to start, which leads to doing nothing at all or making costly mistakes. So let's create a simple, actionable plan to get you going. First, before you buy a single plant, just plan. Grab a piece of paper and sketch out your space. Then, for the next few days, just observe. Where does the sun go? Most veggies need at least 6 to 8 hours of direct sun. Figure out where taller plants, like tomatoes on a trellis, could go on the north side so they don't shade out everything else. Plan for paths, and make sure you can get a hose to everything. Second, nail your foundation, the soil. You can get a simple soil test, but for most beginners, the best thing you can possibly do is add compost. Lots of it. Mix it into your garden beds or use a compost-rich potting mix for your containers. It feeds the soil, improves drainage, and helps hold moisture. It's magic. Third, choose easy wins. Don't try to grow everything your first year. Start with a few reliable crops to build your confidence. You can't go wrong with cherry tomatoes, zucchini, bush beans, lettuce, peppers, and radishes. Fourth, learn the basics of companion planting. This is a classic trick where you pair plants that help each other out. Planting basil near your tomatoes, for example, is said to repel pests and even improve their flavor. Planting marigolds can help deter a lot of insects. On the flip side, avoid planting things that don't get along, like beans near onions. Finally, follow a loose timeline. Winter is for planning and dreaming. Late winter is when you can start seeds indoors and order supplies. Early spring is for prepping your soil. Then, depending entirely on your local climate, late spring is generally planting time. By following these simple steps, you'll sidestep the most common beginner mistakes and set yourself up for an amazing first season. So that's the roadmap, the 7 essential pillars that will help you create an incredible garden in 2026. We've shifted our mindset from fighting nature to working with it. We've embraced the power of native plants and started turning our lawns into something more vibrant and alive. We've mixed beauty and function with foodscaping, leaned into the lush expression of maximalist design, and proved that even the smallest balcony can be a garden. And most importantly, we've laid out a clear plan to get you started. The thread connecting all of this is a move toward gardens that are more thoughtful, more sustainable, and more deeply tied to our lives. Your garden is more than just a collection of plants. It's an extension of your home, a sanctuary for wildlife, and a source of beauty and even food. This is your year to make that dream garden happen. Thank you so much for joining me. If you found this guide helpful, please consider subscribing for more just like it. And don't forget to share your own 2026 gardening goals in the comments below. Good luck in the garden and keep on growing.